So you're studying for your real estate exam and you're trying to find some tips and secrets to help you pass. Well, you came to the right video. These are the secrets that helped me pass my exam on the first try, and hopefully these will help you pass too. Now, passing the real estate exam does not guarantee success outside in the real world, so I wouldn't stress too much about the nitty-gritty details and try to memorize and remember everything. It's more so trying to understand the main concept so you could stay out of jail. My first advice for passing your real estate exam is to take as many practice questions or practice exam as you can. Repetition is one of the fastest way to learn something, and for the most part, the real estate exam is going to reuse like 70 to 80% of the old questions regardless of what year you're taking in. They might reword some questions around or change some phrases up, but the main concepts will stay consistent. Make sure you brush up on older practice exams. Some really good resources are Examsmart and Prep Agent. You could try those out to see how you like it and try to find old PDFs or old exams out there. Now, the next couple things I'm going to talk about are just some cherry on top just to ensure you ace the exam. It's extremely easy to feel overwhelmed when starting off, especially if you're not really familiar with real estate. My biggest advice is to break it down into different sections and focus on subcategories of real estate. All the exam is going to be talking about is these categories in real estate. If you just study them one at a time, you should be able to absorb and learn the information way better than trying to absorb all of them all at once. But honestly, if you break down the exams into digestible categories, you realize it's not that bad. For example, one study session could be focused on contracts, right? The next study session could be focused on financing, and your next study session could be focused on titles and deeds. Breaking down real estate into different subcategories is a lot more digestible, and it will be able to help you study through the different categories way quicker than just trying to absorb everything at once. Luckily for you, the exam is going to be completely multiple choice. In North America, you're going to take a state exam and you're also going to take a national exam. When taking multiple choice exams, there's a couple techniques you could use to help increase your chance of getting the right answer. First advice I would have for you is to skip over the questions you don't know. There's going to be some questions on the exam that you're not 100% sure on. Honestly, instead of getting stuck on that one single question for multiple minutes at a time and taking up more brain power, simply just skip it and move on to the next question. You could always go back to the questions you haven't answered at the end, but you shouldn't be dragging too much on just one question. It's a lot better to keep the pace moving, and there's going to be other questions you do know. A lot of the times with multiple choice questions, you could normally find one or two answers that are just off. Typically, they're talking about a different category in general, or they don't have anything related to the question being asked. If you're able to understand the basics of each category, then you're probably able to distinguish what belongs and what doesn't belong. I recommend just crossing off the answers that don't make sense. That way, if you do have to guess, your chance of actually getting it right goes up. My next advice is to figure out your strengths and weaknesses. When studying for your real estate exam, it's very important to understand what you're strong in and what you're weak in. If you're able to focus on your weaknesses, like what you're lacking in or what you're not confident in, then you're able to identify what you need to work on. If you're taking the old exams, like on Examsmart, then you probably are able to find out which categories you're lacking in and you could focus on them. A lot of the times, if you just focus on your weaknesses, then by the time you actually take your exam, you'll find out that those will actually become your strong suits. Building on from the last point, you shouldn't really be too stressed taking the exam. This is something I wish they told me, but you actually have multiple tries to actually pass your exam too. So if you fail the first or second time, you shouldn't be too discouraged, because at least you could see where you've scored the worst in, and that way you could focus all your attention on your weaknesses, so the next time you take the test, you're way better prepared. So those are my advice to pass your real estate exam on your first try. If you don't pass on your first try, don't be too discouraged. You still have multiple other tries. If this video helped, leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what you want to see next time. Thanks.